What if everything you believed about how rich people got rich was completely wrong? What if the straight-A students, the Ivy League graduates, and the people with the perfect resumes are actually less likely to become wealthy than someone who barely scraped through high school? That sounds impossible, but that is exactly what decades of research on real self-made millionaires reveals, and it will change the way you think about success forever. The Millionaire Mind by Thomas J. Stanley is not a motivational book. It is a research-driven investigation into how ordinary people built extraordinary wealth. In a single generation, Stanley surveyed 733 millionaires across America, people with an average net worth of over $9 million, and asked them one simple question: how did you actually do it? The answers he got back were nothing like what the culture tells us. No overnight windfalls, no genius IQs, no family money, just a very specific combination of mindset, strategy, and lifestyle choices that almost anyone can learn. If you have ever felt like the system wasn't designed for you, this book was written for people exactly like you. Here's the central idea: real, lasting wealth is not a reward for being the smartest person in the room. It is built through uncompromising integrity, disciplined daily choices, the courage to take calculated risks, and the strategic selection of a low-competition, highly profitable niche. And it is sustained by something most financial books never mention: a stable marriage and a debt-free household. Luck, by the way, ranked 27th out of 30 success factors in Stanley survey, 27th. Mindset and foundations. Let's start with the finding that surprises people the most. The average millionaire in Stanley's study had a college GPA of 2.92 and an SAT score around 1,199, solid but not exceptional. And when Stanley ran the numbers, he found virtually zero statistical correlation between those scores and net worth. Zero. Ignore academic labels. The standardized tests we use to sort people measure only one type of intelligence: analytical. But there are two others that matter far more in business: practical intelligence, which is common sense, and creative intelligence, which is the ability to see opportunities others miss. Most self-made millionaires scored high on those two, not the one schools measure. The armor plate. Many of these millionaires were told early on, by teachers, by test scores, by counselors, that they weren't smart enough. And something interesting happened. That rejection didn't break them, it armored them. Being underestimated forced them to develop mental toughness, self-reliance, and an obsessive drive to prove the critics wrong. The label became the fuel. The 900 Club. Stanley profiles a group he calls the 900 Club. Millionaires who scored below 1,000 on the SAT. They didn't succeed despite their low scores. They succeeded because those scores forced them to outwork, outpersist, and outconnect everyone around them. Tenacity and social skills, it turns out, are worth more than a perfect test score. Integrity, discipline, social skills. The real foundation of wealth, according to the survey, is three things: radical honesty with everyone you deal with, the discipline to live below your means for years, and the social ability to lead, sell, and connect. These are not personality traits you're born with. They're skills you can build, starting today. So if academic performance doesn't predict wealth, what decision actually does? The answer is one most people make carelessly, choosing what to do with their working life. Vocation is everything. Stanley is direct about this. Choosing the right vocation is the single most leveraged decision you will ever make. Get it wrong, and no amount of effort will save you. Get it right, and even average execution produces extraordinary results. The ace pilot principle. During World War II, Major Eric Hartmann became the most successful fighter pilot in history. 352 confirmed victories. His secret was not aggression. It was patience. He refused to engage on unfavorable terms. He waited, identified the ideal target, and only then committed everything. Millionaires apply the same logic to their careers. Study your strengths, find the right battlefield, then dominate it. Avoid the dogfight. Most people compete in exactly the wrong places. Crowded, high-status professions where thousands of equally qualified rivals are fighting for the same handful of positions. Stanley calls this the dogfight. His research shows that the highest profit margins are usually found in industries the elite overlook entirely. Scrap metal, used truck parts, pest control, niche manufacturing, boring industries. Extraordinary returns. Passion over prestige. More than 80% of the millionaires Stanley surveyed said they genuinely loved their work, not tolerated it, loved it. That's not a coincidence. Mastering a niche takes years of sustained energy, and you cannot sustain that energy without genuine interest. Chasing prestige or a high-status label without real passion is a road to burnout, not wealth. Choosing the right vocation is the strategy, but most people never execute it because they're afraid. So let's talk about how millionaires actually handle fear. Fear, risk, and self-employment. Here is a reframe that changes everything. The safe job is not safe. Depending on a single employer for your entire income means one restructuring, one bad manager, one economic downturn can eliminate everything. Self-employment, by contrast, means you have dozens or hundreds of customers. No single one can fire you. The safe job illusion. Stanley's millionaires don't see entrepreneurship as the risky path. They see it as the only path that gives you real control over your income, your time, and your future. The risk of not owning your work is invisible until it isn't. By then, it's too late. Fear Reduction Toolkit. These millionaires are not fearless, they are fear-managed. Their toolkit includes intense preparation before any major decision, seeking counsel from the best available experts, maintaining physical conditioning. Several describe daily exercise as non-negotiable for mental clarity, and for 37% of them, strong religious faith and prayer as a genuine source of courage under pressure. Action builds confidence. The deepest insight here: millionaires don't wait to feel confident before acting. Confidence is not the prerequisite, it is the result. Every calculated risk taken, every obstacle overcome, compounds into the belief that you can handle what comes next. You build it by doing, not by waiting. Courage doesn't come from nowhere. For most millionaires, the deepest source of it isn't a business plan. It's the person they come home to. Spouse and household. This is the chapter most business books skip entirely. Stanley devotes serious research to it. Because the data is undeniable, 92% of millionaires are married, and the typical couple has been together around 28 years. Long, stable marriages and high net worth are directly correlated. 5 spouse qualities. The millionaires didn't marry for looks or for money. They married for 5 qualities: honest, responsible, loving, capable, and supportive. These traits are not romantic ideals. They are practical complements to wealth building. A partner with these qualities provides the emotional stability that allows you to take risks, absorb failures, and stay focused for decades. Spousal teamwork. In many of the wealthiest households, one partner manages domestic life, freeing the other to concentrate fully on building the business. This is not a sacrifice. It is a deliberate economic strategy that multiplies the household's total output. Frugality as strategy. 70% of these millionaires repair their shoes rather than replace them. 48% reupholster furniture. They shop with lists, they buy in bulk, at a household net worth of $9 million. This is not poverty thinking. It is systematic, intentional value management. Cheap date lifestyle. Their top monthly activities: socializing with family, entertaining close friends, and studying investments. Not resort vacations, not status dinners. The best returns in their personal lives, just like in their businesses, came from going where the value was highest and the competition was lowest. A productive household controls spending and protects time, but building real wealth also depends on something bigger: how you actually think about money and whether you're building assets or just performing wealth. Balance sheet and smart money. Stanley introduces the most clarifying framework in the book: the difference between balance sheet affluent and income statement affluent. BA versus IA. Income statement. Affluent people have high incomes and high debt, trophy homes, leased luxury cars, an image of wealth built entirely on borrowed money. One character in the book describes it perfectly: the lender owns it all, the borrower just manages it. Balance sheet affluent people are different. Their assets far exceed their liabilities. They carry little or no debt. They are actually wealthy, not just performing wealth. Ruthless real estate research. When BA millionaires buy a home, they spend months researching. They prefer well-constructed older homes, built in the 1950s or earlier, in stable, established neighborhoods, not the newest subdivision, not the flashiest address. They buy for fundamentals, not for status. Avoid ego-driven investing. High earners who are analytically gifted often make the worst investors because they trust their own intelligence over objective evidence. They manage their own portfolios without outside input and pay for that arrogance in avoidable losses. Millionaires hire third-party counsel, specifically to counteract their own blind spots. Pay for elite advisors. 85% of Stanley's millionaires consulted a tax expert in the past year. They pay top dollar for elite CPAs and tax attorneys, not as a cost, but as a high-return investment. The money saved through expert advice consistently exceeds the fee. Own business beats market. For this group, the best investment was never the stock market. It was their own business. Deep mastery of their niche, compounded over years, delivered returns that no index fund could match. The best place to invest is where you already have an edge. Here's what you can apply starting now. First, stop letting academic labels define your ceiling. The millionaire's edge is practical intelligence, not test scores. Second, audit your vocation. Are you in a dogfight, or are you building a niche you can own? Third, build your fear reduction toolkit: preparation, expert counsel, physical conditioning. Fourth, evaluate your household. Are you running it like a BA or an IA? And fifth, ask the hardest question: are you actually accumulating assets, or are you performing wealth for an audience that isn't even watching? The Millionaire Mind is not a gift. It is a set of decisions about who you become, what you do, who you marry, and how you spend. Stanley's research makes one thing clear: the path to real financial independence is available to almost anyone willing to think differently from the crowd and act on it consistently over time. Subscribe for more breakdowns like this. Find the book link in the description below.